gonna give you one of the power bars. No, okay. Oh, we're live.
Hi.
We're live. We're live.
Oh, wow. Blessings.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, I just want to welcome
Okay.
everyone. A miracle just happened. I definitely felt the stress. Anyways, we are live. Welcome to the Up Convergence. We are on about 90 different Facebook pages right now. Most importantly, we're really excited about this next hour plus time we have, as the first 20 minutes has been a technology challenge. And we're with the Up Convergence, Unity and Peace in the Divine Feminine and Sacred Masculine room, with a group of amazing women that you will get to learn from here. Antoinette Roots-Data and I started a conversation about 4 months ago, and we said, yes, let's do this, bridging the divide, being a part of anti-racism culture. And what does that look like? And there are a group of women here that have been a part of that conversation, and there's also women here that are new. We welcome all to this conversation. So if you'd like to join us, you can find the information on peaceweekend.org. And I just want to welcome you all. Thank you for your patience. Those of you that are in the Zoom room with me in the technology challenges, thank you for being patient, and thank you for all of your beautiful energy. And Antoinette, please take it from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Summer. So I see we have a very nice, diverse group of women here, and we're coming to you from all over. We're actually, Pato and I are actually in Portland, and Summer's just right up the road from me in Washington. So despite all the fires that are happening all across on the Western seaboard, that's happening, we are still coming together on how we are bridging the gap and how we're bridging the divide, as far as diverse women coming together to answer and to talk about these hard questions. The first of the couple of the programs that we actually done, we addressed the 5 obstacles to white allegiance, from white supremacism to white privilege, white fragility, white guilt, white liberalism, and white active allies. So that was a very, very good discussions. And how we're going to start today, we're going to ask some other questions, you know, to our panelists and also to our viewers who are actually watching if you're tuning in. So please drop your comments and your questions within the chat box on the live feed. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start you with one of our favorite videos, which is from Jane Elliott. And this is how we're going to get the party started. Okay.
And while you do that, I just want to also, anyone that's here in the Zoom room that's not sharing your face, it would be really wonderful. We are in circle together. Please join us, and we would love to see you. I know a few of them personally, so I'm nudging you. Heather, Elizabeth, Rita, there's Heather.
Okay.
Rita Marsh is also in the Zoom room. I hope that you also show yourself. Nina, these are all here in the room with us. Please show your face.
Yes, in order for us to be able to feed off of this energy, and we see each other and we can feel each other as well too. Okay, wonderful. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start this now. Optimize. All right.
I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
All right. So let's just make sure that I've stopped that. Okay. All right. So I know that is quite the doozy already. And every time I see this video, I'm really looked at their faces there, because they're sitting there like, and I think everybody kind of is a little bit flabbergasted because they don't really know what to say. And it's like a deer in headlights. But what she's saying is actually true, because I think a lot of people, they know what's going on, but they also don't know if they can or are willing to do anything. So I'd like to get some of you guys' thoughts on that video. What do you think when you watch that, or that question is actually being posed to you?
I just want to acknowledge also Alexandra wanting to make sure all the panelists are introduced. So maybe can we, Antoinette, also introduce those that are in the room that are, please introduce yourself, that are part of this panel. Dr. Quinlan, Alexandra Love, please. Nichelle.
Well, I'll introduce myself and then also answer Antoinette's question. I'm Alexandra Loves. I'm based here in Portland. The smoke is starting to recede. Yay. I'm a spiritual guide, and I also teach anti-racism from a spiritual perspective. And when I see a lot of Jane Elliott's work, actually, but especially that work, it's interesting because there's something that was put into this culture in the United States, and that's like cognitive dissonance. That's what she's talking about. That's one of the things she's talking. It's very layered what she's talking about, but the cognitive dissonance of knowing that there's this disparity, knowing there's an oppression, knowing that you might have neighbors, or even if they're not your immediate neighbors, like other people around you in this country who are being treated poorly, and the depth of cognitive dissonance, the depth of what it takes inside you to see it happening, to hear them talking about it, to trying to get legislation, Black people trying to get legislation, people of color trying to get legislation passed so that it's not that way anymore, people crying out, people dying, people being lynched, the whole spectrum of lynching. I'm not just talking about hanging in trees, seeing all of that happening, and to not engage, to not do anything about it, but to know deeply in your heart and soul that you wouldn't want that for yourself. In order to create something like that, it has to be deeply ingrained in our structures. And so what she is really calling out is not just the individual, because I think sometimes people see that and they're like, it's about me. Yes, it's about you, but it's about all of us. We're educated that way. It's in our structures. In order to create that, we have to be conditioned that way. And so that's what comes up for me, is just this acknowledgement of, this is not a conscious choice that people make every single morning when they wake up. Well, once you become aware of it, yes, but it gets into us through our system, our whole growth period in this world. So I just wanted to acknowledge that Jane Elliott is referring to that cognitive dissonance.
All right,
yes. My name is Nichelle Monroe. I'm a vocalist in the Los Angeles area. I'm coming to you from the East Coast, however, tonight. And that's one of my favorite clips as well, because it pretty much sums up what so-called white supremacy, the system of, and white privilege are. It's a whole dynamic of things. And when a lot of times I hear white people meaning well asking, well, I don't know what to do. What can I do? How can I help? And that's an important question. And it's good if someone is asking that. However, it's almost obvious. It's kind of a put yourself in my place. If this were Katrina, the hurricane, and you were standing on the roof of your house and you had spelled out help on the roof of your house and the waters were rising, you would want someone to come with a boat or a helicopter to rescue you. And if someone was standing there going, I don't know how to help you. How can I help you? I don't have a boat. I don't have a helicopter. Well, you'd want that person to go find someone with a boat or a helicopter, especially if you're the person with the resources that knows people with boats and helicopters. And this is almost a literal situation where in the system of white supremacy, most white people have the boats and the helicopters. And they're standing there going, I don't know how to help. It's like, get one of your homies with the boat or get one of your homies with the helicopter. If you don't have one, drag somebody in here so that they can help me get off this roof before I drown. I'm drowning right now. I'm drowning right now. I need someone to save my life. So this is, it's that type of thing. If you're not sure of how to help the situation, how to pull yourself and other people of color out of the system of white supremacy, it's put yourself in their shoes. How creative can you get with figuring out how to help yourself and help someone? Because everyone suffers under this system. Even people who think they are not suffering, they're suffering. We're all miserable under this because it's a sins of the father type of thing as far as it's concerned with Black people in this country and Native Americans in this country. So what I see personally is white people are forever looking over their shoulder, wondering when the brick's gonna fall, when the shoe's gonna drop, when is the great rebellion gonna come, and they're all gonna come and kill us. And it's because you have that fear because you know something awful happened and people are boiling underneath with it. And here's the thing, we are not you in this respect. We are not looking for revenge. We could be. Some people are, a small group are. Most of us just want to be left alone.
Mhm.
We have not been left alone this whole time. There's always been someone bothering us. When the thing, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, we had boots, we had straps, we made our own boots and our own bootstraps, and we did pull ourselves up, i.e. Cities like Rosewood and Black Wall Street and so many others. Those are just two very prominent examples of Black people in this country trying to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, economically, socially, within our own construct. And that's something that a lot of people from other countries have been allowed to do. But it seems that, well, it doesn't seem, whenever we get something like that, there's some sort of meddling that happens with a small group of white people who will come in and interject their whatevers into the situation and cause havoc. So yeah, if you would like to help, start by thinking about what you would want done if it were you. If you can put yourself just for a tiny second in our place, how would you want someone to save your life if you were about to drown?
Mhm. Thank you, Nini. All right. Any other thoughts? All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce. So we have Mira Michelle, who's in Europe. It's almost midnight there. And Alexandra Loves and Dr. Quinlan Strong and Nini Monroe. These are also my cohorts with the Walla Moms International. So this is the Black women leadership as we have going on with the works that we're doing there. But what are your thoughts, Mira Michelle?
Okay. It's wonderful to be here with you all. And I'm a steward of the Sacred Feminine Masculine Room here. And wow, blessed to be with my sisters. My thoughts on this subject, I come from the frame of reference as a Black woman. I'm also mixed race. My mother's English, Irish. And I come from the perspective also as a healer and from consciousness, right? And this is obviously denial in its truest sense, right? It's a big fat form of denial and not wanting to look at something, making it want to go away, which creates fear. Denial creates fear. It's an energetic suppression. So when we're suppressing energetically like that, it makes us in resistance. And when we're in resistance for too long, it makes us abusive, in underlining ways and sometimes overt ways, right? And so that's the structure that was created from the beginning, was this constant resistance, right? And so that's uncomfortable for everyone, like our sister Nichelle has said. No one wants to live in that vibration, and no one wants to receive it. And so this is about an inner choice for everyone. And this is also about taking responsibility. And this is tough for many of us, but we just gotta be real. It's time for us to be more and more real as possible. And look at our ancestors and step into a step more responsibility. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm feeling. And so it is like the old quote from part of my ancestry: walk in someone else's moccasins. And when you begin to feel that, you will begin to see how you can, they are coinciding together. What our ancestors have walked and how we can take responsibility. This is a resonant step. We have to feel. If we don't feel, we're not going to move. As you saw the people in the audience, they were like, oh, back into denial, back into resistance.
Mhm. Thank you. All right, Dr. Quinlan, I think you'd have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry about that. But
Okay.
you brought the word denial up. I tend to think of it as a veil of denial, that you put it on when it suits you and you take it off when it does not. Look, I am an African American woman. I love to train. I love to educate. But there is only so much that I can do as a Black woman. I think there's two words that we always need to be mindful of, and there is equity and equality. Equity for me, and I think for most of my Black brothers and sisters, says, look, I get to do what everybody else gets to do. I get to travel where you go. I get to go to the store that you go into. Heck, I can even live on the same block that you live on. But equality has a tendency not to work that way, because equality then becomes how you mastermind it. So equity says everybody's at the same level of play. But then what happens is that the veil of denial continues to seethe over people, and there continues to be a lack of equality. I don't think anyone outside of Black individuals can walk in my shoes. I stand firm with that for me. I think you can maybe sympathize, but empathize, you cannot. You can't do something that you are unable to be able to do. What I need from my white brothers and sisters is I need for you to educate yourself. I need for you to sit down and be open and honest about who you are and where you're coming from. Because nothing can change if nothing's going to change. If you continue to keep the veil of denial over you and continue to keep walking by the big elephant in the room, nothing's going to change. So for me, it is all about the equity and equality of things. And until we are on the same playing field, we are still going to be unequal.
Mhm. Thank you, Quinlan.
You're welcome.
So well, I guess one of the questions, and I think when we're asking people about, and we're asking this all the time, why are we here? Why are Black and white women coming together? And this is, I guess, one of the people don't understand what privilege actually is. Privilege is something that we have to talk about this constantly. And then privilege for white people is they can talk about it when they feel like talking about it. And if they don't feel like talking about it, they can just kind of put it to the side. And when they're ready to talk about it or ready to deal with it, then they can pick it back up again. You know, so that's another privileged thing that I'm witnessing and I'm seeing, because ever since the protest started, you know, which was, you know, even in the city of Portland, it's 100 days of protest. So when people have got tired from the streets, what have they done after that? When Dr. Quinlan and I were leading the protests in our own city, what has happened after that? You know, I'm getting the call from the lieutenant every couple of weeks, you know, checking in. And it's like, so where is everybody? You know, you were very loud and vocal in the streets, you know, with your signs, you know, with all the Black Lives Matter and different things like that. They were very, very, very vocal then. But where are they now? Where's the same vocalness and the same drive and the same ambition and the same progressive moves and ways that everybody's doing? You know, you see this within the corporations, you see this within the businesses. I'm looking all over Portland and I'm seeing BLM written on these businesses. But it's like, what are they doing besides that? You know, what is happening after that? So as far as privilege, and so this is a question to the white women who are sitting here on the panel, like what does white privilege mean to you, and do you believe that you have it? Because I have a lot of friends who insist they don't have white privilege. There's no way that they've ever had it or benefited from it, and you know, they didn't own slaves, things like that. So
I mean, I'll just start. Yes, my white privilege is everywhere. Where is it not? I guess is more where I'm at about it. And then in the sense of what am I going to do about it? Like kind of what you're saying, Antoinette, about like, you know, people that have the posters and are saying the right things on their Facebook pages. And then it's like, well, you know, okay, so what can I do about my white privilege that will do something that's like actually gonna support and what I also hear about what Dr. Quinlan said too, of the equality still means that there isn't justice. Like maybe if there's a point where we're on the same page, and where does my white privilege and where Black Lives Matter is going to actually have respect and like trust building opportunities. So, you know, I want to, you know, do what I can in that sense of doing something good with the privilege that I have, the white privilege that I live with today, you know?
What does that look like for you?
You know, being here right now, listening, like, what do I not know? Where is my right privilege? And where is the denial in me? I know I live with denial, even though I'm also saying it's everywhere. Where is my denial, and where have I not actually faced it fully in myself that actually is gonna like awaken a racism that lives also in me and in the systems that I'm still feeding right now that are embedded in white supremacist support system that I
but you're almost answering your own question. You're saying that I understand that this is happening, and yet I'm feeding into the same system that continues to perpetrate, you know, this lack of equality, equity, right? Explain that to us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'm answering it because I feel like there's a lot I don't know right now, Dr. Quinlan. So I mean, maybe that's true. And I hope I discover what that fully means, that I'm reflecting in some way that I'm answering it. I feel like there's a lot I don't know. And I don't want that to be also my denial that I'm saying that. Because I think I do hear that a lot with other white people, like, I just don't know what to do. Or, well, okay, so then how can I actually know what to do? Yeah, I mean, this being here right now and is and I really hope too for some of the women that are in this room that are also white, that they feel like they can actually really get vulnerable and real too with what's, if there's some way that I can help that open up, since I'm one of the few white women here. I especially for those that are new, Heather, Rita, who we still haven't seen, that they feel like they can open up and really, you know, be a part of this conversation too.
Yeah. Sylvia, I see your hand is raised. Yeah.
I'm going to speak to a couple things. One is, yes, I'm very aware of participating in white privilege. I had an amazing and very expensive college education and graduate school education, and then opportunities to travel around the world that, you know, were much less available to my Black sisters. I lived in a privileged neighborhood. Again, there was one Black family in the neighborhood where I grew up. And my dad was actually part of writing out deeds in that neighborhood, a clause blocking Black families from owning property. I was also, before I was in elementary school, part of experiments that continued from Nazi Germany about mind control. And so my response after graduating from graduate school was to be active in social change. And part of that was being in front of the White House when Bush II was president, screaming for the campaign to end AIDS. And that was at a time in 2005, right after Katrina, when Black women in this country were the largest number of newly positive cases in the country. And that was a big reason that I was there.
Mhm.
I live in a very mixed apartment complex, and I'm frustrated because I don't know how to be the change that I want to see here.
Mhm.
I have rarely left this apartment in 6 months. I have food to share and no way to connect with people to share it. I'm on a Facebook page for the Black Lives Matter protests, and I know that defund the police is one of the really active things here in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm doing what I can with that effort.
Mhm.
And I will say that my own recovery from the trauma has taken a lot of my focus and energy just staying on the planet. So I'm doing what I can, and it's not enough. And I appreciate the chance to sit at your feet and listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was, just being here is,
real.
mhm. And that's what we like. We like realness. We like sincerity, that's all. I rather people just be real and sincere with me and be honest and open than pretending in my face or saying, yes, I got you, but you don't really have me, or anything else like that, you know,
No,
so,
I want to be able to do more than I am, but you
yeah.
know, what
We
I'm
have
doing
ways.
feels like a lot to me right now.
Well, you have some new sisters with you now. And,
Thank
you know,
you.
this is why we're bridging the divide and bridging the gap, is that we're coming together. And I've got plenty of things you can do. So I said, don't worry, I got you covered. There's plenty for us to do.
May I ask just
Can I,
a simple
can I
question
acknowledge,
to Sylvia?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to ask Sylvia a quick question. Sylvia, your emotions were, I don't know if it was, were you embarrassed to share that with us or sad? What were your emotional feelings attached to what you were saying right now?
Sad and angry, I guess. Angry because I don't see our struggles as unlinked to each other. And there's a lot of the rhetoric that doesn't acknowledge that. You know, I am gender creative. I don't identify at this point as a woman. And there's a lot that happens to people outside the binary where our bodies are trashed, if you will. And there's, you know, I experienced before was in elementary school, my body being trashed for the purposes of research and science. So there's sadness and pain, there's anger. Anger at the perpetration that happens to so many of us, the systems of perpetration.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes.
I want to acknowledge something that you said, Sylvia, too, that I think everyone feels, and that is that it's what I can do. I found something I can do, but I know it's not enough. And I think that a lot of times, especially I've noticed in women who identify as white or identified as white, start to allow the guilt to build on that, but it's not enough. And I think that there's this push that we see sometimes in social justice, or we see, you know, when somebody's that we either assume or that people are actually saying it's not enough, it's not enough. I think one of the things that's important for us to rest into is that there is if we all took our part, we can acknowledge that feeling of it's not enough, but also acknowledge that we can't individually change everything.
Right.
I think especially, you know, and I'll speak for myself as I identify as a woman. And maybe Sylvia, you relate to this or not, even if you didn't identify as a woman, society treated you maybe as a woman. And so you understand,
absolutely.
right? So society says, especially in those roles, like we have to hold everything for everyone and we have to solve everything. We just hold so much.
Yeah,
And so we have to remember that it's okay to acknowledge, like, especially if we're being self-aware and we're checking with ourselves and saying, you know, this is what I can do. And no, yes, it's not enough, but I also am not responsible for the whole world. So I'm going to focus in on these things that I can do. And I'll keep learning, I'll keep being self-aware, but I'm not going to play into the guilt the world tells me to have that stops me of knowing that's not enough. I can just acknowledge it and keep moving on. So I want to say that for others who feel like, because I feel that too. That's like that whole, it's not enough. I got to do more. What else can I do? Oh my gosh. Like it's, you know, I feel that. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
That's a great point, Alexandra. We are, as women, the nurturers, and we are expected to do it all, be superwoman, be the mother, have the career, clean the clothes, wash the food, cook the food, wash the this, the that, do everything, wash the car, build the house, decorate the house.
And save the world, right?
Right, and save the world all at the same time. And I think that we have to do what we can do. I think that you're starting out with the right attitude. You're doing what you can do. And that's how this whole movement builds, is everybody doing their part. You're figuring out what your parts are. Everyone is. where, you know, figure out what your part is. You don't always know what it is. You just, you kind of jump in, you know, and see, okay, do I fit there? No. Okay. How about over here? How about over here? Oh, I like this. I'm going to do that. Oh, I like that. I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm going to push that aside and I'm going to do more of these two things. You know, you just figure out, get in where you fit in, and then you run that puppy into the ground. You know, that's all you
Or-
can do.
Raise its wings. This is an origami butterfly.
Pretty,
So, yeah, so run it into the ground or flap its wings.
yeah, you cut yourself out of that cocoon and you start flapping your wings and you create some wind, honey. Get that barometric pressure going, you know.
Well, watch out for your hair because it may be pinned back.
That's okay. If that's what the wind is coming from, please, I want it all through the roots.
All
And then
right.
come your way.
All right. So Heather, we haven't heard from you yet. I love that background, by the way. It's very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel incredibly humbled and honored to be here. And honestly, I'm here to listen. I feel like I talk a whole lot and I share a whole lot. And I, over these last few months, have really been aware of how much I need to listen and to learn from you all. And so I honestly thought I had missed this offering. So I just kind of hopped on and like, wow, here I am live with y'all. And my heart is really full right now, and feeling all kinds of sensations in my body of the how powerful the energy is. And I have never been more aware of how very privileged I am, as I have over these last few months. And I recognize that that is because of my white privilege. I haven't had to know of the privilege that I have held and that my ancestors have held. And I have been in process of educating myself of the true history of how these systems have been put into place. Nothing that we ever learned in school. So really taking time to learn from people who have the information to teach, and also to unlearn some things and to be constantly checking myself. That's where I always know I need to start with and end with is myself. That's what I have control over. So really checking where I am, where my biases are, how I am relating to my brothers and sisters. And then when I feel like I'm in a grounded space with that, I feel like I'm able to offer opportunities to my fellow white brothers and sisters to educate themselves and unlearn. And fortunately, I'm surrounded by many white people who want to be educated, to be truly educated and want to unlearn, and to be a part of this incredible opportunity I feel like we all have that has never been before, to truly dismantle these systems. And I know we've got a long, long, long way to go. Yet I feel like the opportunity is now. And I'm devoted to doing and being everything I can to being a part of the dismantling. So that's why I'm here. And I've already talked more than I wanted to talk. I really want to listen. And I truly honor each and every one of you. And I feel very blessed to be in your presence and to hear your wisdom and to feel your light. So thank you.
Thank you, Heather. And one thing I definitely really want to be clear about, is that as we get together, yes, Nichelle, is that we're not here to shame white women, and we're not here to guilt them and and we definitely don't, you know, because I've seen a lot of different things, and that's why I've seen the white guilt, you know, coming from us. Like I don't need people down on their knees and apologizing and doing shows or of display. You know, it's like I need you to take my hand and to stand with me, and as we go on this journey together, you know, like we come together and we do this together. This is all in the spirit of cooperation, you know. So, and we're just really just getting started. We're just scratching the surface of, like, you know, what I really want to get into, which is that could take a good long time. But go ahead, Nina, you wanted to say something.
I was going to say, thank you for that, Heather, Elizabeth. One of the things that I hear a lot, which is, you know, a very humble place to come from, a lot of white women are saying, I'm just here to listen and learn, but most of the time, especially with something like this, is the hands-on type of learning experience. So, you know, getting in there and answering those questions aloud and sharing is how you're going to learn. Listening, you can listen at some points, but you have to engage in the conversation. Being sort of a fly on the wall in this instance is going to be counterproductive for you. And like Antoinette said, we're not here to shame you. This is a safe space for you. You know, Sylvia divulged some very poignant things about her upbringing and where she's coming from. And there's no judgment about any of that. We're not here to judge you. We're here to teach. And so, and a lot of times, if you're sitting in the back of the class and not saying anything, then you're not getting much of the information. You're not getting as much, the information is not seeping in as much as when you're participating. So while listening is important, participating is equally as important.
Thank you. All right, Nina. This is with the spotlight on you now.
Hi, I yeah, because I know I'm not part of the panel. I was just here to attend and listen, but I saw my face on the live, and I was like, I don't want to perpetuate the you know, being silent as a coming from the Asian community. So I want to like.
What part of the Asian
that
community, by the way? Which part of the Asian
Filipino.
Oh, yes, nice.
Yes, and I have been kind of also having conversations with people in my community about this topic. And one of the, from where I'm coming from, our challenge is being silent. You know, a lot of us are being silent, not usually part of the conversation. As a Filipino, we were also colonized by the United States, and we also have our own problems with discrimination against each other by the color of our skin. So we are also dealing with all those things, and also being aware that of the, you know, Asian minority, that we were used to further oppress the Black community using this Asian model minority myth, that it's not true because we're also struggling, but they're hidden. But I believe that we're still privileged at the same time. But not as privileged as the white community. With me, my own experience is I have been engaging also with the Black community. I have formed really deep relationships with some folks and having this conversation both in the Black and white community. And one of the things that actually perplexes me is related to everything you already said is when I kind of through the process realized that relationship building is very important, like really getting to know the person, what that person really wants. And I have witnessed some white folks who also tells me like, oh yeah, we want to help. What can we do? And then they go to protests and things like that. But then when I give them opportunity, oh, this person wants to, she has this goal. She wants to be a dancer. She wants to be a peer supporter or this career. And she needs your support and all these things around her, that food, shelter, everything to lift her up. It seems like being present in a level that takes you to be present all the way and walking with them. Suddenly they're like, I don't feel much support when it comes to that. So that really perplexed me. It's still perplexing me at this moment. Why? Because I know they want to help, and that's also the what other people from the Black community also tell me where their frustration are coming from. So that's really perplexing to me. With my as my experience though with my own relationship building is that I have learned so much just being with that person, like really spending time with that person about the differences of our worlds where we grow up. There are things I could relate, but like one of you said, I can never really understand unless I'm that person. But there are certain experiences from where I come from and where the other person come from that kind of we can relate. But at the same time, like eye-opening things that people, that's just one example with a person from the Black community. She never even learned how to schedule things because growing up, things just always pop up because in her community, there's no control. The environment, just things just happen, shooting, robbery, whatever. Like there's no there's no opportunity to develop the skill of just scheduling. And so her life right now is the chaos, and we had to kind of work together with that. And now her life is so much stress-free because now she learned how to schedule. It's like, it's a very mundane thing, but I learned that because I actually communicated with her, really got to know her as a person. And I feel like that's what's kind of lacking from what I see is like really communication. And I know I talk a lot, so
It's okay.
So yeah, that's all.
I actually have a question for you too, because my husband and I, we were in the Philippines last year, and when we were in the store, I actually did this video because I said, look at all the bleaching products. There was a whole aisle of bleaching products, and I did this Facebook Live video. It went viral, like 20,000 views or something within immediately. So this is a big issue that we're noticing as well too. We have our own dark issues as well as far as lightism. I think my husband calls it lightism. And I see this in India, and my mother's Taiwanese, so I definitely see it in Asia, all throughout, Asian society. And we're seeing this in a lot of different cultures where darkness and Blackness is really looked down upon and is really frowned upon, that people will spend the most significant amounts of money. So you have racism actually happening within your own cultures based on the darker peoples of your culture.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of my pain right now. And I'm trying to figure out what to do, because I grew up in that environment. Just to give you a perspective of what that's like. I grew up hating how I look, just hating how I look, because every minute there's the commercial, they're really blatant. They're not even subtle. Like they're just in your face every moment. Like there's always messages, like you cannot go anywhere without seeing it. Your family will tell it to you. Everybody will tell it to you. And it's like, until like it just gets to a point that no matter how much will you have, it just defeats you. And when I came here to the United States about 10 years ago, I believe, this is the first time I was able to breathe, just not seeing those commercials. Like I didn't even know there was a reality that nobody would tell me that I don't look right. Mm-hmm. So just from that perspective, growing up there, like it was so hard to see beyond that. So me right now, just speaking up is my way. Now I'm speaking more about it. I'm talking to more people about it. I'm talking to other cultural groups about it and seeing, so just communication right now is, I guess, my little way of kind of trying to figure out how to address it. Excuse me. So yeah, it's a big problem, and it still hurts me. And we do have an organization for decolonization. So we are currently, our community is in work, doing the work of decolonizing our minds and our hearts right now. So some of us are in the process of doing that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Can I ask a question to Heather? You up for a question? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes.
Heather, one of the things that you mentioned was that in the past few months, things have kind of taken a different turn for you. And so I just want to be clear about what I thought I heard you say. So is that correct? And if so, can you expand a little bit about what was it that enlightened you or empowered you to say, look, I need to do something different here?
Thank you for that question. I feel like on a personal level, it's been the several months that we've all been navigating what I call the global pause, this pandemic, that I've had time to really be still and be more contemplative and get out of my tunnel vision of my own microcosmic reality and slow down the busyness, the doingness, and just pay more attention to what's going on beyond what I navigate on a day-to-day basis. And of course, the energy behind the Black Lives Matter movement has certainly played a crucial role in that as well. And I've always felt sympathy for all of my relations across the planet. And I've always considered myself to be a compassionate and aware person. I just feel like this veil has lifted, where I am seeing what I wasn't willing to see before. And really more like seeing my role in it and my responsibility.
What's your role? What's your role?
A role as a white woman who's experienced privilege her whole life. My ancestors experienced privilege. I mean, we can go back so many generations. And so my role is to work on myself, like I mentioned before, so that I can be the best person that I can be, and I can truly stand up and be the change in the world. And as Summer Joy shared, like, use my privilege to change things so that we can live in a world where all beings are valued and honored and have all the resources that every other being has, and the peace and the love and the compassion that I feel is possible. I just know that I get to step up and wake up to patterns that I've held that I just wasn't willing to see, wasn't conscious of. And I appreciate the reference to the white guilt and the white shame, because that's definitely something that has come up for me. And I realize that, again, that's nobody else putting that on me. That's my stuff. That honestly transcends any kind of black-white vibration. Like, that's just something that's been in my DNA that I've worked on for a while, and here's another opportunity to do some more work and transmute it. Because I know, again, I'm not going to be able to fully embody the person I know I can be and be the change I know that I can be and I wish to see if I'm carrying around a bunch of guilt and shame and denial about, the truth. That's what I feel like. It's like we're finally, and I say me, are finally seeing the truth. And the truth that goes back so many hundreds and hundreds of years. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
And one of the things that I guess, like, I've always been feeling frustrated with lately and for a while, so I go through a lot of different emotions, so I'm not angry anymore and I don't cry anymore. I'm just kind of like numb. And people sit there, it's like my tears are just dried up, I can't the things that, and it's just the little things, little things. And I tell my white friends all the time, I was like, why is it that when you have a black post or something, you want to talk about something black or whatever, you only tag me, and it's only on my page. It's not even on your own page. You know, it's like you're preaching to the choir here. It's like, why aren't you sharing this with all of your white friends? These are the people who need to hear this. There's nothing you could tell me about Black people that I don't already know, or about my history that I don't already know. I don't even understand this. It really just kind of like, it just drives me bonkers. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, why don't you put this on your wall and tag 100 of your white friends and family on this? And you know, so I have 4 of my admin teams here already within this group, and we're admitting within a group of 16,000 people, mostly women. And I'm looking at a lot of these things. I'm like, I'm glad that you're putting all these things within the group that we're talking about Black Lives Matter, but I'm not seeing this on your own wall. You know, you're not even talking about it to other people. You're talking about it in here where we can all say, yeah, we all agree. But talk to people who don't necessarily agree. It's the same thing like the people who wear the mask. It's like, oh, I've had the experience of wearing a Black Lives Matter mask and I've just been attacked all week. You know, here comes all the sympathy. But it's like, well, you can take the mask off. Did you do it every week? You know, you're going to do this week after week after week? Are you going to constantly talk to Black people, you know, about Black people constantly and consistently? So one of the things, and last night, I was really, really upset last night, you know, when I had heard what had happened with the 2 police officers in Los Angeles. And, you know, this is where 3 of us live down there. And then as I'm watching this, and I'm watching my own friends doing this, because I said, how in the world is anybody celebrating this type of behavior? And who is they? How can you use they? There's millions of people who actually live in Los Angeles. You know, there's tens of thousands of people who actually live in Compton. You know, that was one individual. One individual did a heinous act and a heinous crime, and then all of a sudden, all Black people are held responsible, and all white people who support Black Lives Matter is being held responsible. To make matters worse, to sit there and throw more salt on the wound, there was people who was the news said it was a small crowd of protesters. That wasn't no small crowd. It was 3 people. I saw 3 Black people outside of that hospital yelling those obscene words about killing the pigs and those obscenities. You know, I'm like, those 3 people do not represent they and the whole entire community of Compton and Black people. So while I'm saying this, it's like I can easily denounce and tell the people and say, that's wrong, you know, because that woman should never have been shot. That police officers that had never been shot, you know, they were sitting in their police car, minding their own business, doing their job, whatever they were supposed to do. We asked for police accountability, and they won't talk about the people that we asked for police accountability. There's not going to be one post about Breonna Taylor. There's not going to be one post about Elijah McClain. There won't be anything about Black Lives Matter at all. But the minute a police officer gets shot, then that all of a sudden, those police officers' lives matter, which of course they do matter. But it's like, but only their lives matter, but never the reason why they were being shot in to begin with. It's like, if we're going to sit there and get out of the violence and move away from the violence, when are we actually going to address the root cause of the problem? So I see them on that privileged front where they can easily sit there and say, you know, and so we have this whole thing with the thin blue line and the police and everything else. It's like, but why? Why did it become us and them to begin with when the only thing that we asked for was equity and equality? We only asked that that these police officers be held accountable for their actions just like anybody else. And so every single day we have to fight with just the common mentality of people who have to sit there and bring up people's criminal records, who lump us all in it together and everything else of why they deserve to be judge, jury, and executioner on the street versus like just going through the same protocol of being a criminal and being charged as one, you know? Yeah, go ahead, Nini.
I think that the point that you brought up about, you know, people are posting in one space but not talking about it with their white friends and family members. And I think one way to help is to stop being afraid of your friends and relatives, your white friends and relatives. Stop being afraid of them, white people. These are your people. And this is where you're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. and you're gonna have to grow some thick skin. You're gonna have to be unscratchable, because that's where Black people are in your society, in your country. And I say your country because it's not ours yet until we are treated with justice. So you're gonna have to be you're gonna have to be a soldier for righteousness and for equity and justice. You're gonna have to not be afraid to talk about the issues, and you're gonna have to stand right where you are. You're gonna have to be unmovable in what you believe in. This is where everybody's figuring out who their friends are. You're gonna have to be ready to let some people go. Some of them may be family. Some of them might be your best friend. It could be one of your children. I don't mean let them go, you know, if it's your child, but you know.
Oh, her Wi-Fi, she froze.
Oh, no.
Well, she's
Concerned, you're gonna have to know where people's mentalities are.
Oh, she's
She's
back.
back.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did I
We
freeze
couldn't-
up?
Yeah,
Froze up the
you're
last-
back.
Where did I leave out? Where did you leave? You're gonna have to navigate through. Can you hear me now?
It was only for a couple seconds. Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna have to navigate through the, for lack of a better word, clanspeople. You're gonna have to navigate through them to get through to the other end, which is justice. So it's difficult. I see some of my white friends having these difficult conversations online, and they're just as frustrated, almost as frustrated as we Black people are. And I'm like, yes, I feel your pain. Welcome to my world. You know where we are right now. We're almost on an equal playing field. You're seeing the hard knuckleheads that we're having to deal with, and you're gonna have to be ready for that. You're gonna have to gird your loins, put your armor on. It's gonna take that. I'm not exaggerating. It's gonna feel like you need to put some armor on for the attitudes that you're gonna get. I've seen films, you guys may have seen the film of the guy holding up the Black Lives Matter sign in some rural town in the South somewhere, and all the vitriol that he experienced from people passing by. Some people got out of the cars, people spit, people cursed at him. People even had the nerve to say, "Find Jesus." What? It's crazy. So you got to be ready for craziness like that to get to justice. Justice is the prize.
All right. So
And I just want to say this. Can I just say this real quick? There is nothing wrong with having privilege. Nothing wrong with it.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with having privilege. The problem is the ownership of privilege. And so what are you going to do with your privilege? You're going to either own it and continue to have the blinders on, or you're going to take the blinders off and do something with your privilege.
Yep. I say use it like the force. You know, the force with you, use it like the force. Use it for good, you know, for good over evil, you know, and use it for each other. You know, I'll use my privilege, whatever I have, because I have privilege over other Black people and African people or other people, my brothers and sisters around the world. So I try to use my privilege wherever I can, you know, and then I want people to use their privilege for me too. So we're going to be wrapping this up because we're getting ready. So Up Divine, thank you, Summer, for bringing this up and everything that you wanted to ask the viewers how they can support us with WAMI, the best way to support WAMI. So for those of you guys who don't know, WAMI is Walla Moms International. That's us. That's our organization. WAMI also stands for Weapons of Mass Instruction. We are also a resource center. We are a grassroots organization. We are helping people. So what we're doing up here in Portland was to help the people in Portland on how they want to best move forward. And after Alexandra's poll and survey, most of the people said they wanted to do Black community outreach and daytime protests and different things getting involved with the Black community. So we're gonna come back again at 5 o'clock where I'm actually doing a Black men's panel. It's like we have to listen to the voices of our brothers too. They've got a lot to say and there is a lot on their mind, and also the work that we're doing in Portland and taking outside of Portland. So part of our organization is that we're going to be addressing health, issues, education as far as teaching anti-racism, unconscious bias, that's kind of the Alexandra specialties, and also education that's within the schools. This is something that Dr. Q's specialties as well too. So you're in that committee as well. And how we implement certain changes across the nation, because only some schools are able to teach Black and BIPOC issues and history within their schools, whether they're charter schools or certainly certain public schools. But if we could sit there and drop our blueprint and our plans, then we can try to implement this all year, all throughout the country and also in every single school, because Black History Month is not just something that's just for February. Black history is also American history. It should be taught throughout the year. Health and education, as far as within our nurses, our hospitals, and the treatment of our Black and brown brothers and sisters within the healthcare system is ridiculous. It's really sad. It's very unfair. It's not very unequal. And they actually do have trainings and they do have courses, but we want to make sure that we instill this everywhere else as well too. Same thing with our justice, same thing with a lot of different things. So we know that we're in this fight until the day we die. We're going to have to be in this and committed. We ask everybody every time we get together, are you willing to join with us and commit yourselves in doing this type of work with us? So make sure you like all of our pages, join our groups and everything. I'll be posting this stuff everywhere. Share with your friends because they can also get involved with that. Are there any other final thoughts that you guys have that you would like to say to the viewers?
Yes, and I'm being called up right now by two little kids, so I'll go first.
Yes.
Just to go off what Nishi said, look, the way I look at it from the perspective I take spiritually is that we are in a wartime, a spiritual and psychological war. If anybody's been watching us before, you've heard me say this, and I'll say it again and again. All of you who are watching, whether it's now or in a replay, you are most likely born to be a warrior, a teacher, a guide. So yes, this is part of your work is learning how to be that warrior, that teacher, that guide, but you can do it with finding peace within yourself. You might have to be in a fight. You might have to be in confrontation. You might feel the uglies and the nasties, but you still can find peace within yourself. It's important to keep coming back to that so that you can continue on. This is the world is dying. We're building a new one at the same time. So this is a long haul situation. This is not this will be over in the summer. No. So I wanted to piggyback off of that, and that if you're born in this time and you have interest in this and you have curiosity in this and you still feel drawn, even if you're really scared, remember that you're born specifically at this time for specific reasons. You're supposed to be here. You're capable. So I just want to say that. Thank you for creating this space. Thank you, everyone, Summer, Antoinette, everybody in the panel. Thank you, Upconvergence. I got to go handle some little kids.
Thank you. All right. Final thoughts, anyone? Go ahead, Mira Michelle.
I'm coming. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to end with, and I would piggyback on that. I'm hearing this echo sound of our sister, equity and equality. Let's feel into that. Let's feel into those vibrationally, please. And also, let's get inspired. Let's get that juicy, inspirational energy running through our body, mind, and what would that world feel like? Let's dive into that. So we have had a lot of have-tos, and that's also part of life, but let's take those have-tos and inspire ourselves with enthusiasm. Yeah, I want this. I want to live in that world, and I want my kids to live in that world, the ultimate freedom. So we can create that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mira Michelle. All
I just
right.
want to say I am an amazing person with some incredible knowledge. And so I say that to let you know that the history is so rich. Why wouldn't you want to know? Why wouldn't you want to know what that's like and be part of? You know, I want to show you, I want to teach you. Heather, man, I'm looking forward to having some dialogue with you and sitting down and talking about how great, how scary, but how authentic my Blackness is. I love it.
I love it too. Thank you, Dr. Q. All right. Any final thoughts, anyone?
Just don't be afraid anymore. And this is like Alexandria said, if you were born in this time, this is your time. And that goes for all of us. And it's a wonderful thing to know and to stand in. That's part of your armor. I was born to be a soldier for righteousness. That to me is like superpower. You know, all this, you know, you know. So go with that and go with God, your creative spirit, and go with the righteous, go knowing that you're part of the solution, and just don't be afraid. We've been afraid for far too long, and that's how we got here. And you know, educate yourselves, start your education. We have the Library of Alexandria at our fingertips. It's called Google. You can start looking, just ask it a question, and you can find books. You can find media, you can find history, you can go to the YouTube, University of YouTube rabbit hole. There's all kinds of stuff there. You're gonna find all kinds of stuff. And you know, you're gonna have to sift through it and figure out what you believe and all that jazz, but there's stuff, it's easy to find. We're all, a lot of us, many of us are at home, and one of the advantages of this time is that, as Heather said, you have time to listen. You have time to see. We're not all in the rat race as much as we were before, where we could just, you know, eat our Hot Pockets and watch our cable. You know, we see now that there's so much more out there. So that's a way to strike out into the world and see what you can find. And I hope to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty then. So yes, Summer.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for this is our fifth. I'm always off with my numbers. Time we've done this. Fifth.
I think so, fourth.
Okay, fourth. I hope that some of the new women that have come into this conversation, Heather and Sylvia, I hope that you join us next month, because we are doing this every month. And I also just want to acknowledge a lot of the support and comments coming into live streaming, lots of comments, lots of shares, and just it's buzzing really there. And also in the copy of this live stream is the Wall of Moms International Facebook group or page, and Dr. Quinlan's information, and also there's information about Alexandra Loves and Mira Michelle about their work that is imbued in the healing of this work. So and if there's any other information that we should also include, let's do that. But just thank you so much, and what a profound contribution to this up convergence in unity and peace, and blessing to you, Antoinette, with the next event that I know is coming right after. How can we be a part of that conversation? I guess I just want to make sure people are aware of what you have coming up.
That's going to be great, because this is going to be really good, because we're going to be live streaming it through the Sign Network, you know. So since we're not really having a room, we're just going to do this one live Zoom, and we're going to live stream. And Heather is bringing a signer. So maybe if you can just show me how we keep that one box up in the top, because we're going to have a signer, you know.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, ASL? American
Yes.
Sign? Oh,
Yes.
Okay. I thought you were talking about like Sign Network signer. I was like, I don't know what that is.
Well,
Okay.
we're signing through the Sign
That was
Network.
a sign-in page. Okay, Americans.
Beautiful.
American, yeah.
So however you do that in the box, however you could put that in the box, I'll just have that other person sign in. So everybody tune in at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. You can be tuning in from all over the world. You can be watching from the comfort of your own home. For the people in Portland, we're all going to meet at my hotel at the Hampton Inn over here in Hollitt and Pearl District. So we have this fabulous panel of Black men. And I was like, and these guys are so awesome, because they're the most peaceful tactful and tolerant guys you could ever meet on the planet. And it was so funny because when we met them the other days, I'm sitting there with these white ladies. I was like, they're so angry and they're mad. You know, it's like all this anger. And it's like, if anyone who should be angry, these guys should be angry because they've suffered from the most abuse, but they are also the most positive people that you could actually find. You know, so they're going to be bringing the messages of peace and love and unity and how we can battle systematic racism, the works that they're actually doing. So all the people who say they want to support Black Lives Matter, they want to support Black people, I'm encouraging them to support these Black men in the works that they're actually doing. It's like, you know, put your money where your mouth is, do the actions that you say you want to help or do whatever. So listen to their voices, because I don't think we hear from the brothers enough, you know, because the women are taking the lead, and which we rightfully should. You know, so there's a lot of women who are stepping up and who are taking the mantle, but also at the same time, we also got to be there and lift up our brothers as well too, because how does it feel to be a Black man with rage inside and not letting this rage come outside and stuff, you know? So they'll get a chance to sit there and witness a different type of Black man than what the media normally portrays them to be, you know, especially because I would be angry if all that stuff happened to me. Trust me. I'd be more than past the angry Black woman. You would not want to see me at all. You know, who knows what I would be doing. But they'll be setting a wonderful example for us. So we'll see you guys at 6 o'clock.
And it'll be live streamed
It'll be
on
live
WAMI
streamed.
International's Facebook page and
Yes.
lots of other places.
And there'll be music too. So there'll be live music, some awesome videos, and they'll be talking. So this is going to be very entertaining.
Beautiful.
Thanks, everyone. Peace and love.
Peace.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.